Hello and welcome to The Punchline. I'm your comic strip critic, and today we're taking a look at one of the oldest and most influential comics of all time, Crazy Cat, Pogo, Little Orphan Annie, Calvin and Hobbes again. Today we're looking at the rest of the Garfield movie. Shut up. In case you weren't here the first time around, John the Bland, played by Breckin Meyer, adopted Odie the Saint to impress his crush, Liz the Vet, who is played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. Happy the Grouchy wanted to take Odie to New York to star in showbiz, but John the Bland said no. You'll notice I haven't mentioned the Fat Cat himself yet, and that's because Garfield the Evil's only real impact in the first 35 minutes of film is locking Odie outside at night so that the dog runs away. Halfway into this movie, and our title character is more villainous than our actual villain. So with that little sluggy freelance-style recap out of the way, let's finish hacking up this horrendous little hairball. This is the rest of the Garfield movie. We pick up the morning after we left off, with Odie being taken in by a kind old lady, and John wondering where he is, and apparently deciding to search for a tiny 8-inch tall animal at about eye level. Happy Chapman, meanwhile, is still obsessed with finding that ever-elusive, ever-mythical creature known as a show dog.
If I could get my hands on a really talented dog, wouldn't Walter J. just choke on his Emmy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can totally see the scene now. Oh, wow. Wow, this is incredible, really. I've worked for so long to earn this, and there are so many people that I want to thank tonight, and
Hey, everyone, look! There's a cute dog outside doing special tricks. He's doing flips and stuff. Let's go take a look.
Stupid dog. You made me look bad. Happy's assistant recognizes Odie from a Lost poster and, wait, from that grainy black and white photo with no name on it, he can identify Odie? I think Wendell might be related to Sherlock Holmes if he's actually that good. Naturally, when Liz comes over, John is understandably nervous about losing the animal she trusted him with. She thinks it's cute.
It's one of the reasons I had a crush on you in high school.
What took decades to happen in the newspapers gets taken care of in the movie in about 45 minutes. Ugh. And then John admits that he lost Odie.
Odie's run away.
Why didn't you just tell me?
I guess I figured he was the only reason you were spending time with me.
I totally called that! Happy Chapman poses as Odie's owner and takes the dog from the delighted old lady who's a fan of his. This is the most villainous thing that Happy's done so far, and even this really still isn't as bad as...
And you must be touched in the head.
That. Even Garfield's friends turn on him, quite justifiably, as he's the most evil character in the movie still.
Any one of us could be next.
Yeah.
Next for what exactly? Do you think Garfield's going to lock you out of his house? Because that's what happens every night. I think the point is Normal's kind of dumb, which he's not really in the comics, so... Consistency. Yay. Garfield sees Odie on TV with Happy Chapman, however, and now knows where the pooch is, and is ready to go set off and get him before Happy takes off for New York City. There is a slight hitch to Chapman's plan, however. According to his assistant, Odie isn't quite ready to start performing around the country or in New York City on a regular basis yet. They say this despite the fact that both of them have seen Saint Odie the Kind and Perfect perform in front of a crowd of dozens before with absolutely, literally no prompting whatsoever, and that he literally just finished dancing on TV. So what's Happy's solution to this problem that's clearly not a problem? A shock collar. He plans to use a highly visible shock collar on Odie.
This collar is the dog's future. Now we'll see how smart you really are.
Hey, quick question. What's Happy Chapman done that's actually villainous so far?
He's going to use a shock collar on Odie.
Why? That seems kind of excessive and sudden.
Because he's the villain. And that's what villains do.
Oh, okay. Carry on then.
Okay, yeah, good.
And in an act that would normally be called heroic, Garfield leaves the cul-de-sac to go looking for Odie. It is slightly undercut, however, by the fact that he's really only doing it to get back into all of his friends' good graces. I'm sure the fat cat will be perfectly happy leaving Odie with Happy Chapman otherwise. There are a few sequences included here that could be cut without losing anything, such as Garfield's encounter with a pack of rats, and him crossing the street under a delivery box. Hey, wait a minute. Beloved family companion kidnapped by a sleazy businessman. Companion's friends all have to go rescue him from the big city. They all cross the street under disguise. It's Toy Story 2! I mean, I get it. Pixar is a pretty good place to draw inspiration from, but the similarities here aren't even that subtle. I can draw comparisons between the first two Toy Story movies and the Fat Cat's silver screen debut with startling clarity. Observe.
I don't see anything. He's there. Just keep looking. Buzz!
And you must be touched in the head.
Oh, he's stealing Woody. What? Stealing? He can't take Woody. It's illegal. Where's he going? Woody, do something.
Oh, Odie! Oh, come on! Dude!
Drop!
At long last, or maybe I should say short last, as his multi-block trek took all of, about 4 minutes, Garfield finally reaches the telegraph tower, and hey, if Toy Story climbed up an elevator shaft, then Garfield can certainly do, of course.
Monday morning. I'm gonna get to work on losing those last 20 pounds.
You know, if the evil Emperor Zurg wants to suddenly show up and say that he's Garfield's father, I'm down with that. In one of the rare cases where the fat cat's fatness is actually a problem for him, the maintenance staff think he's a blockage in the vents. And really, look at how roomy those vents are. Is that really a blockage? And they decide to purge the system, which results in the world's strongest AC system ever throwing around 20 pounds of tubby tabby like it's nothing. And now Garfield is dead. His face has been flattened into something resembling his favorite food. But finally, Garfield the Evil finds Saint Odie to atone for his sins.
I found you! I'm so sorry I got you into this mess.
No, you're not. You're sorry that you got caught. No? While Garfield's trying to open the door to Odie's cage, Happy Chapman walks in. If this seems familiar to you, it's because the same thing happened in Toy Story 2.
Poor Odie. He faces a future of torture, neglect, and degradation. Hey, nobody gets to mistreat my dog like that except me.
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Why are we supposed to like him again? And not content with borrowing ideas from Toy Story, now we're going to borrow them from... Sadly for fans of extreme sports and YouTube cat videos, Garfield's burgeoning Tony Hawk career ends quite abruptly when he flies out a window and... Holy crap! Did you see the blood and gore spray the inside of those van walls? What's this movie rated? PG?
Once again, my life has been saved by the miracle of lasagna.
Oh, thank heaven. Garfield's about to save Odie when animal control finally catches him and takes him to the pound. Wait, really? John doesn't have his pets wear a collar or ID tag at all? This is why he can't recover them when they go missing. Speaking of John, he and Liz are at least catching up, as they saw that little old lady's dog found posters and learned from her that Happy Chapman now has Odie. Garfield, not content with annoying just the audience, is also driving a British poundmate of his insane too. But it's not just any British old cat, it's Happy Chapman's old TV cat, the one he was allergic to back from part 1. Wait, what's that? You don't remember that Persnickety was a character that was in the movie earlier? Well, that's fine. We can show you all those important moments of his that clearly established his character and foreshadowed that he was going to be a major player in this movie, such as... No, seriously. Really? We got nothing? Huh. Okay then. And again, I have to ask, why is Garfield the only animated character when so many other animals talk? Why not find a fat orange cat and train him to move around and then animate his mouth? Or why not cartoonize all the other animals like, oh, I don't know, the character the movie is actually about?
Let me ask you a question, Chubby. What are you talking about?
How could you understand? He's my friend.
Okay. Okay. I'm okay now. Fortunately for our big orange star, the actual TV star stages a mass breakout, which allows Garfield to escape from animal control and make his way to train station. Apparently, Chapman's big ticket to fame isn't worth paying the extra money to be a carry-on, so Odie is stuck in baggage. The trains leave before he can be saved, but Garfield has the realization that
It's just a train set, only bigger.
he manages to sneak into the control room when a worker very kindly leaves the door open behind him, ensuring that he will be fired before the day is out.
Okay, we gotta find our train. Let's see what happens when I do this.
Oh boy, here we go.
Boston Express, switching to track
I'm sorry.
18.
Folks in Boston are gonna be a little late today.
Warning, collision.
Ma'am, I'm looking for one train in particular.
Warning, collision, 20 seconds.
Gosh, you sound like my mother. All right, wait, hold up. Everybody stop. Everybody
Warning.
Stop, 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 stop.
All stop.
You have to stop that train.
Hold on. Actually, that train has stopped. It's returning to the station.
I'm sorry, I believe what you meant to say was, holy crap! 10 major trains are about to collide at the station! Think of the injuries! Think of the scandal! Think of the money that'll be lost!
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Think of them too! No joke, a crash of so many trains like this would be huge news. I know, this feels a lot like a movie from the 1990s, but this came out in 2004. In a post-9/11 world, you can bet that the headlines would be speculating about the terrorists. And that poor guy who left the door open for Garfield to wander in, he's fired at best. He might be going to jail if he's found guilty of something like neglect. And Garfield's casual ignorance of the whole thing is just scary. Garfield makes it onto the train and finds Odie, and the two escape. Happy Chapman sees them getting away and gives chase.
Al, let's get out of here.
Oh, come on, there's no way you could have known that would happen. At this point, I would like to remind the audience that despite all of his faults, Garfield is still a cat. Cats can do things like this. Garfield is not to be messed with. In a stroke of good luck and good karma, all of the animals that Garfield met at the pound show up, attack Chapman in a massive dog pile. Hey, doesn't that shot look familiar? And Chapman is forced to wear his own shock collar. Yes, a collar meant for a small terrier can also apparently fit a grown, slightly overweight man, and Garfield and Odie zap him for good measure.
To you, Odie might be just a dumb, stupid, smelly dog, but to me, he's all that and much more. He's my friend.
No, he's not. He's your ticket to your friends and John being willing to speak with you again. That's what you really care about. Oh, and John shows up and decks a TV star in the face, which I'm sure will go down well in court, and everyone goes home, with Normal repeatedly saying, "Garfield's a hero! He was on TV! He's a hero!" Does everybody else here remember that little storytelling rule known as show, don't tell? If you have to tell us repeatedly that Garfield's a hero, then the truth is more likely that... yeah. So everyone goes home, everything is happy, and Garfield still pushes Odie around on a regular basis. And they all live dysfunctionally ever after. So there we go. That was the Garfield movie. It's finally done. It's finally over with. What did I think of it? It's finally over. It's finally over. This really does feel like a movie from the mid-1990s. I expected this to come out in the era of Air Bud, Inspector Gadget, and Flubber. It just feels oddly out of place for me. I will give credit where credit is due. There's a lively and bright feel to the colors and sense of motion that do resemble a comic strip, and the team that animated Garfield honestly did a great job. This is about as close to seeing the comic character interact with the real world as we'll probably get. He actually interacts with props and sets and people pretty well, except for this one scene at the dog pound. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that the actor is miming those actions there. The other best part of the movie also stems from Garfield, or to be more precise, it stems from Bill Murray. He supposedly saw the initial unfinished script and improvised his dialogue a lot. The actual writing we'll get to in a moment, but his delivery and tone of voice is actually very fitting for the character. He sounds disinterested, self-centered, and loaded down with so much sarcasm that I can feel it weighing me down. But Murray was absolutely hamstrung during production. In a 2014 AMA on Reddit, he said that he would record a line, want to re-record it to make it funnier, and be incredibly limited because the actors and other animals had already been filmed and he had to work around performances that were already set in stone. Give the man respect. He worked his butt off and literally sweated through 8 hours worth of work for 10 minutes worth of material. But if I complained about Garfield's dialogue and writing the whole movie and kind of forgot to talk about everyone else, it's only because I forgot about everyone else. John and Liz turn in such a bland performance that I can't recall a single line of theirs. And Chapman starts off as a somewhat understandable and even relatable character who dives off the deep end into villainy because the movie needed a villain. I can't even call all these performances bad because then it would be memorable. Bad is...
I did not hit her. It's not true. I did not hit her. I did not.
Bad is...
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere.
Bad is...
You mean like at Universal Studios? Cha-ching!
This is mostly just boring, which, considering John Arbuckle's many eccentricities, is a real shame. And the main character of the Garfield movie, based on the Garfield comic strip, is actually not Garfield. It's Odie. The entire story revolves around Odie, who somehow manages to be the most lovable character in the whole film, despite never having a single line of dialogue. Man, that is one impressive pair of sad puppy dog eyes. Puss in Boots needs to take notes. So, in short, some good CGI and a Herculean effort by Bill Murray don't make up for a pretty forgettable cast. If you want to see this same movie turned into something that's really good, go see Toy Story 2. It's the same basic plot, but done far better. So there we go. The Garfield movie is done. It's over. I wipe my hands of it. And I'm gonna go do something to unwind. Maybe I'll go play a retro video game or something. I'm your comic strip critic, and I read the funny pages in the hopes that they turn into better movies than this one. I hope that Peanuts movie is good this fall. Oh, come on.